going to dive right into the hot topic, which hopefully you're watching. If you have not had an opportunity to watch, we are going to catch you up. And that is the trial of our generation, the trial of this century. And that is the George Zimmerman trial. So, yeah, we're going to give, I guess maybe I'll start off and kind of give you guys what's been going on. And then we'll get Sugar Ray's take on it. So, of course, on Monday and Tuesday, there was Rachel, and she is
AKA Diamond.
Diamond, and she is the friend, or girlfriend, I should say, of Trayvon Martin. I don't think they were dating. I think they were just friends.
Yeah, she said that she didn't understand why the media portrayed her as the girlfriend because they were just friends. They've been friends since elementary school, and they just got got back in contact with each other right before he died.
Because he had just moved back up there, right? Or down there. So that was on Monday. Of course, we all know what happened with that and how she came across to the media. I have my own personal opinions on that. We can get into that later. And then, I don't know, in my opinion, after that, it went downhill pretty quickly for the prosecution. By Friday, even yesterday, I was pretty much done. I'm pretty sure he's probably, if you are a person, as the jury should be, a person that knows nothing about the case, and I actually told this to Kevin, what I said was, if I was a person from another country, knew nothing about this case, they sat me down, and the way the trial was going as of yesterday, George Zimmerman would be acquitted, hands down. I believe that the prosecution is being out-lawyered. I believe they're being outsmarted. I think that O'Mara is doing a phenomenal job for his client. Whether or not I agree is a different subject, but I think he is doing a great job. Like, the questions he asks lead you to think exactly what he wants you to think, and it makes me angry because I'm watching it like, I got you, boo. I see what you did there. I see what you did. And so, you know, it makes me upset. But there was a huge turning point, in my opinion, on today. I think the prosecution did their job today. I was very proud of them. I was in the house like, yes, finally! A witness for the prosecution that is
that medical examiner?
Or let me tell you something. Valerie Rao, I think R-A-O, listen, she is about that medical examiner life.
Okay,
honey.
Question before y'all get into today, can you, I haven't been able to watch the trial or anything, can you give me an example of why you think the prosecution was doing such a great job? Like, give me one of those questions that he would ask.
Oh, you talking about the defense?
The defense was doing a great job.
Oh, I thought you said prosecution.
On today? Listen.
No, at first.
Okay, go ahead.
Yesterday and prior.
Oh. No, I may have said that backwards. I think I did say it backwards. Thank you for catching that. Today was a prosecution day. Before, the defense was doing a great job. Sorry, I said that backwards. Sorry. Yeah.
So Zimmerman, give me an example of the defense.
So, okay, hold on. Let me think. Cheryl, if you have something, you can go ahead. But let me think of one of those questions where
I'm trying to think what question it was. I think the wet grass question kind of got me because they were asking Rachel what she heard, and she said, I heard wet grass, and they tried to trip her up on that. How does wet grass sound? You know, I don't know about a specific question. That is what sticks out of my mind because it really made me mad.
Okay.
Well, there was another, I'm trying to think of what it was because there was a question. Sorry. Well, there was a question that O'Mara, because I think O'Mara is a better attorney than the bald guy. I really do. With Don West, I think he's much better. I think he comes across more likable, and I think that's important because it's a panel of women, and I think that's going to play a factor. I'm not saying that it should, because it should be based on evidence, but I think that's going to play a factor. But anyway, there was a specific question he was asking about like the timing of the events, and I can't remember how it was, but there was even, I'll give this as an example. O'Mara yesterday, or whenever it was, he showed a picture of Zimmerman when he's all bloody and literally went all the way around his head, describing each injury, how it happened, the possibility, describing his head slamming the concrete. That speaks volumes. And we're not talking about, you know, he doesn't have a huge marks, but there's marks on his head. And so to go, do you see this swelling and this bruising? Where do you think that's from? Do you see this cut back here? Where do you think that's from? Do you see this cut over here? Where do you think that's from? You see this over here? Where do you think this from? His nose is swollen. Where do you think? And it leads you to believe by the end, he got his head taken off. And therefore, maybe he was really in fear of his life and needed to use the force in which he did, which was his gun. Because, of course, today they're disputed that, but at the time he's doing that questioning, and literally the picture is up there, and he's just, next slide, next slide. It's going to speak to you. And he does that. He walks you through that, and he does it and those pictures are going to speak volumes to a jury of women, period.
Yeah.
And so he does a really good job of painting this picture and getting you to think exactly what he wants you to think. By the end of his questioning, my mind is like, seriously, I'm like, that was good. I'm going to give you credit for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does, whereas Trayvon's lawyer, when he comes up there, sometimes his questions are more sporadic to me, they're more random, and I don't always understand the intent. And if I don't understand the intent as clearly as I understand the intent of the defense's questions, I can only imagine the jury. You know, I love this stuff. I took criminal in college. I wanted to be a lawyer at this time, so I'm like fascinated by this. And I don't know that the prosecution is doing a really good job. You know, people come up there and they're his witnesses, and they're up there for 30 minutes. O'Mara cross-examines him, and it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. He's getting more out of them for
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. And I don't know. I just don't think it's acceptable. And all these people, you know, they're prosecution witnesses, but they end up saying stuff that helps the defense up until today. Today.
Okay, so what happened today?
Huge turning point today. I was like, go ahead, Sugar Ray, because I'm talking a lot.
So today, I don't mind if you talk. You preaching. That's why I have to drink that water. So today, the state medical examiner, Miss RAO, I don't know how it's pronounced, set the record straight and made it very clear that Mr. Zimmerman may have had his head hit on concrete, but not repeatedly. And he may have gotten one blow to the nose, but not repeatedly. She said this, you see this right here? She was using her laser pointer. She's like, there are two things, one here and one here. If he was repeatedly struck in the face, if he was repeatedly struck in the nose, there would have been things here. She said, I'll use myself as an example. If I hit myself right here, there's going to be something here. There's going to be something here. But no, there was something here and here. I mean, she was on it. She's been a medical examiner for over 30 years. Yeah. And then the only thing that the prosecution really could say to her, not the prosecution, yes, the only thing they could really say to her, who?
Well, I thought you were going to say what O'Mara
Who's the prosecutor?
Said. Prosecutor's Trayvon.
Maybe. Okay, the defense. What the defense would say, the only thing they said to her was basically, were you hired by people who are representing Trayvon? Like, basically, are you for, like, they try to do that to Rachel too. Like, are you a part of the family? Rachel said, I don't know his mama. I didn't want to meet her like that. I ain't never met her. Like, she was mad. So, yeah, let's talk about Rachel just a little bit, and then we'll holler at these comments real quick.
Okay.
So, Rachel is Haitian Dominican American. So, one of her parents is Dominican, and one of her parents is Haitian. She got on the stand and basically wasn't having it. She did not want to be there, I don't think.
No, she didn't.
She was throwing all the shade. She was throwing all the shade. And when they continued to ask her questions, one thing I will say is that she was consistent in the way she answered them, no matter how they asked, even over a period of 2 days. Do you agree, Melissa?
I do. And one thing I'll say even today is that I love that they're finally starting to bring out the inconsistencies in Zimmerman's story. This whole time, it's been the inconsistencies about what Rachel has said and what could have possibly happened and why what she's saying doesn't make sense and it doesn't line up when it did line up. But today was the first time Zimmerman's credibility was called into question. And I think that's important because...
And he's the one on trial.
Exactly. And it's the other side of the story where we weren't getting that before. Again, this is the prosecution case, but yet we've been like they were sealing the deal for the defense. So this was the first time Zimmerman's credibility was called into question. His side of the story, there was inconsistencies. And what made me a little bit upset, though, was that today all the people were like, well, you're not going to get the story the same every single time. That's just human nature. Oh, so it's okay for Zimmerman to have inconsistencies, but when Rachel has inconsistencies, she's a liar. She's not credible. She's a ding-dong. She's stupid. What's going on with Florida's education? It's,
this is the other thing. As a former educator, I taught kindergarten, first, second, and fourth grade, right? And we had a very high Hispanic population at the school. We had so many kids that were English language learners, ELL or English as a second language, ESL students. When she started talking, I knew English was not her first language. I knew it. Yeah. And I don't care that she's been in school in the United States her whole life. If she does not speak English at home, it doesn't matter what she speaks at school.
Yeah. But you know what? Aside from that, even if English was her first language and she just was not a very eloquent speaker, does that really matter? She was on the phone when her friend was murdered. So they're lucky that she was able to get up there and say 2 words. Because if it was me, I'd probably be up there like,
right. And you know what, Shreese?
I wouldn't be able to testify at all. And what makes me mad about it is that we had so much negative things to say about it. We called her hood and dumb and all of this, but that's what they want you to think. Right. You're losing focus of what's really important. She's testifying about her friend that was murdered.
Right. And you know what's another great point? So I'm going to say this and then you can go and then we're going to get to the comments because we're taking long. The other thing I want to say, though, is that as an inner city kid, I can't help that my friends are inner city kids. Had Trayvon Martin knew that he was going to be killed that day, he maybe wouldn't have called poor Rachel. He maybe called someone who could get on the stand and eloquently speak about what had happened so that way the public could believe and take her for what she did in the credibility. But unfortunately, he didn't know that was going to happen. He is an inner city kid and his friend is his friend.
And,
it doesn't
that's all.
Melissa,
less credible.
Honey, the defense rests.
Less true. It's unfortunate. It is so unfortunate that she was thrust into this circumstance and now she's being judged by the world.
The world.
And that's her truth.
When I tell you, you are talking right.
I've been fussing at this TV for you don't even know, like yelling at the TV. Okay, let's get to the comments. You can say what you got to say.
Well, all I'm going to say is I don't respond well to people. Never mind. Let me just go to the comments.
Okay.
All right. Everybody is saying hey. I'm not going to say hey to everybody. Actually, yes, I am. Sarah said, hey, girl. She said, is there a show today? She finally saw us. Angel Felice said, hey. Punky Funky Babs, hey, Bill. It is late over there, over the pond. I'm glad you are up with us.
Hey, girl.
Guyanese gal said, hey, and thanks for everybody's love last week. We got you, boo. And thank you for the hair scarf compliment. All right. And then Monica said, hey, y'all. Hey, Monica. Hey, sister. Okay, Landon 87 Jags said she can't tell that info if she wasn't there. She is just speculating. Rachel Gentile is ratchet.
Oh.
Now, I'm going to say something to you, Landon. Hold on. I'm going to say something. You might get mad at me, but I don't care. To say that is not a good thing. Not right here, not with me. Well, how would you feel? I'm speaking directly to you. How would you feel if you were the last person to speak to one of your good friends and that person got killed and you didn't find out until 2 days later? How would you feel? How would you speak? Would you be so willing to answer questions about someone who's trying to accuse your dead friend of being a racist thug? Come on, let's rethink that. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And then the killer is sitting right there looking at you.
Oh, let me say a couple of things about Mr. Zimmerman, who I just don't even want to call him Mr. Zimmerman. I want to call him something else, but the Lord has saved me. You know? Let me tell you, they showed his interview that he did a year ago. He showed no remorse then. He is showing no remorse now. He even went all the way to this point to say, I think it was in God's plan.
Sure did.
I don't regret having my gun that day. I don't regret calling the police that day. I don't regret shooting Trayvon that day. I don't regret that he is dead. I think it was a part of God's plan. I don't know what God you serve, George Zimmerman. I hope you see this. But let me tell you something. Nah, that really made me mad, though. Like, no remorse at all. Like, none.
If she was really ratchet, she would have been like, this MFer sitting right there killed my friend, and he needs to be put under the jail. If she was ratchet, that's what she would do. So right. She's not as ratchet as we all think. Ooh, I'm getting heated over here.
And then, okay, so Landon said that doesn't give her an excuse to have an attitude like that. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Are you joking? Her attitude could have been far worse. And that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, Chugga said that will probably be the hardest thing she will ever have to do in her life. People respond to stress in different ways, and I think the jury will be sensitive to that. And then he said, "Listen, you talking right." I said the same thing, Chugga. So anyway, we're gonna move on. Landon, I do appreciate your thoughts, but honey, we ain't friends today. Maybe we'll be friends on the next show.
But it's his opinion. Everybody has.
It is. I appreciate it. Everybody has their own opinion, and I just don't agree.
And you're right. We are entitled to our opinion. Last thing I'll say, and then we will move on.
But this is my take.
Yes, it is. The last thing I will say is that today, at the very end of the day, the prosecution wants to pull into evidence George Zimmerman's transcripts from college. And if you recall from a conversation that Cheryl was just talking about, he's on tape stating, "I know nothing about I've never heard of stand your ground law. I'm not familiar with stand your ground law. I'm not familiar with self-defense law at all." That's his testimony.
Mm-hmm.
So then his college transcripts that he is working towards a degree, right when this happened, right when this incident happened, this dude took an entire course on stand your ground law, self-defense.
Oh my God.
A case study, and wrote a paper.
Oh my God.
Yes. So tomorrow the judge is going to enter her decision as to whether or not this will be admissible in court. But of course, it speaks to the state of mind. If this guy has put in several applications to be a cop, has taken all of these classes, got his gun, got a gun in hopes to one day be a cop, has taken martial art class, all these things for his preparation.
MMA fight.
Yes, it calls into question his state of mind at the time that he wanted to be a rent-a-cop, period. He was a rent-a-cop. And this was his glorifying moment to become and get the shine he so desired so that he could be the hero, and then maybe that will parlay into the career he always wanted. So that's all I'm going to say there.
Let me say one more thing. There was someone, I can't remember exactly who it was, that said that one of the witnesses, I think one of the neighbors, said something along the lines, that it looked like an MMA fight was happening. So basically, he lost the fight, and like a sore loser, he used a gun instead of his hands. That's all I got.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to leave it alone because we are taking a lot of time on this. Like I said, it's literally an addiction. I wake up 7 o'clock in the morning, and this is all I'm watching all day till 2 o'clock. Say your last one. We're going to move on.
Okay, there's a lady in Florida that is in jail right now because of the stand your ground law, and how it's a totally different thing. She didn't shoot anybody. She shot warning shots. This is what I've read. A black lady named Marissa.
But you have to be careful with that. I saw that. I saw it somewhere. But you have to be careful with that because you have to remember George Zimmerman waived his stand your ground. He's not using that as a defense at all. He's just saying self-defense. He's not using stand your ground.
Well, I won't say anything about it then. But she didn't shoot anybody, and she's up for 20 years in jail. She's already been in there for 3.
Yeah, I saw that. But it's important to note that he did waive stand your ground. He's not using that at all. He's up against, yeah. So anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to move on because we could do a whole